Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Night Live once again with yours truly, Dave Morrissey, episode 25. Here we go. We have got one hell of a show for you all tonight, lads. A good variety of guests. Definitely, probably the most varied spectrum of guests that I've ever had on one show. I'm really looking forward to it. Coming up tonight, we have Laura Carley, a country singer based in the Midlands. I'm really looking forward to talking to Laura. She has a new single coming out, which we're going to talk about tonight, which is pretty cool. Grania Rafferty joins me from Drogheda in Louth, and she is many, many different things, from a storyteller to a playwright to an actor, and many, many different things. And then finishing off tonight with Poetry Corner, as usual, we have Mr. David Sirois, and I think I've got that right. I hope so. Joining us from Canada, America, kind of both sides. He's a Canadian American poet, and he'll be finishing off things tonight. But before that, my first guest tonight is a guest who I'm absolutely delighted to be introducing to you all. It is, of course, Ailith McCormick. And Ailith, you might know from many of her appearances with the Chieftains down through the years, and many, many other things that we'll talk about when she comes on live. But while we're getting to that on Friday Night Live, we're going to get straight into it. This is Ailith McCormick with the Chieftains in 2019 when she performed with them during the Celtic Colours International Festival. This is just a beautiful, beautiful piece of music. Red is the Rose. It's just wonderful. So we're going to sit back and enjoy Ailith performing live, and we'll get straight to the interview. Welcome, guys. Friday Night Live once again. Dave Morrissey with you.
Come over the hills, my bonny Irish lad. Come over the hills to your darling. You choose the rose, love, and I'll make the vow. And I'll be your true love forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne, but my love is fairer than any. 'Twas down by Killarney's green woods that we strayed. The moon and the stars, they were shining. The moon shone its rays on his locks of golden hair, and he swore he would love me forever. It is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne, but my love is fairer than any. 'Tis not for the parting that my sister pains. 'Tis not for the grief of my mother. 'Tis all for the loss of my bonny Irish lad. that my heart is breaking forever. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the point. But my love is fairer than
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is what it's all about, guys. I'm talking Ailith McCormick, and absolutely fabulous, fabulous, fabulous voice, I have to say. It doesn't get much better than that. And if you are familiar with her, which I'm sure a lot of you will be tonight, you will be delighted that she's also being joined by her husband, Noel, Mr. Noel Eccles. Now, if you know who Noel is, I do, because I'm a drummer myself. And I absolutely, absolutely love everything that he has done as well. But let's get straight into it and talk to both of them and see what's happening in the world of music. Here we go. Guys, how are you keeping?
Good, thank you.
We're okay, I think.
Good. Sorry about that.
How are you?
Sure. I was pressing loads of buttons here. There's too many buttons on this machine here. It's just, it drives me nuts. I wish so. I'd love to have a producer. I would love the comfort of that. It would be great. But anyway, I have to do it all myself. I feel like I'm in a sort of a cockpit of an airplane here when I do this show, because I've got all these controls that people don't see. It's great to have you, lads. Really is great to have you. Ailith and Noel. Noel, as a drummer myself and a percussionist, you're like one of my all-time favorites. A bit of a guru, a bit of a treat for me to have you on the show tonight. Now, I'm not going to lie. Okay.
Do you want me
to be here.
Do you want me to tell stories about him?
Yeah, please. Oh yes. We want all the stories.
They'll all be biased. It's lovely to be here. Thanks very much for having us.
You're more than welcome. More than welcome. I feel as though we've got a kind of a double sort of surprise with both of you being here, so I'm delighted. But listen, before we get talking about the main thing, which is the concert in the cottage, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Firstly and foremostly, Ailith, like, you are described as a Gaelic singer as such, but you do much more than that, because I've watched a lot of your material during the week. But firstly, I'd like to ask you, how did you get into the Gaelic side of things, and when did that happen that you thought, I really want to do this? This is what I love.
Well, I apparently, I don't remember it myself, but when I was 4, I was at a wedding, and my mum was at the back of the hall, and people were walking onto the stage and doing turns, you know, as people do at a wedding. And the next thing she saw, I was on the stage, because I'd obviously seen this, and I thought to myself, well, that looks quite good, I'll give it a shot. So I started when I was 4, and I didn't really stop. I haven't stopped. Well, the pandemic stopped me, but I've been surrounded when I grew up with Gaelic singing, the literature, the culture, choir singing was a big, big thing. I did that in primary school, and then at some point somebody, well, it was Alma Jameson, my teacher, she said, you know, we should really get Ailith out of the choir and get her to do a solo. So it's been around me ever since. It wasn't really, I think at one point I thought I might be a vet, because I had a horse, and then, you know, various things went along the way, but
I'm glad you had a vet.
Singing was the thing.
You could have been an amazing. She could have been an amazing vet. Who knows?
The singing vet. There might be an angle. Singing vet. I think for people who don't know where Ailith comes from, she's from the island of Lewis in the Hebrides.
The Hebrides.
And it's they have a very particular style of singing. There's a particular tradition of singing, of religious singing as well as traditional singing. Okay. And although you didn't come from the religious side of it, that's permeated all across.
Oh yeah, it's just seeped into your bones, whether you like it or not.
Course,
all that
when we use the word Gaelic, I mean, Gaelic is bigger than Ireland. It's not just here. It's a big word, and it stretches right across the islands, doesn't it? And,
it is, and it's amazing how I mean, young people get involved from a very early age, and they just bring that with them, you know.
Yeah. Do you think it's kind of come back into fashion? Like, say, even our Irish language is very much come back around with the kids. I find my children anyway, they love it. They absolutely love it. It's like it's fashionable again or something.
Well, I think nowadays people understand, whereas I mean, when my mum was in school, she was not, although she was a Gaelic speaker, she wasn't encouraged to speak Gaelic at all.
Yeah.
And her parents at that time were told that, you know, if you're going to get on in life, then you'll speak English. That'll be your first language.
Yes, yeah.
So there was all that, but I think now that time has moved on, and time is a wonderful thing, it gives us a lot of understanding. If we can relate to the very things that we grew up with, if that is within us, and we you know, if we are able to recognize what makes us unique, and we take that forward, that's an understanding of ourselves, and we understand other things. So that's really what I think, that's what the Irish language has to offer.
That is probably the most profound statement that I have heard on this show. Yes.
I also think if subjects are taught well and they're made relevant, they inspire interest in them, and especially with younger people in schools or whatever. I mean, I find this. I teach percussion in the TU, Technical University of Dublin's Conservative Music, and for the younger kids, when I find ways of getting them to understand what's going on, and I get them to be inspired by the subject, they become much more interested and better, you know, and they get more out of it. And it's the same with the language.
And I think with the language, if people understand where it comes within the music and within how people live their lives, it becomes a lot more easier to accept. Yeah. As opposed to just language being thrust upon people, you know.
It's true, because I know in school it was thrust upon us, and I always remember bloody Peg Sayers. Oh my God!
You're gonna say that.
I could burn that book, you know. And now I look back, and it's not so bad. It's not so bad. But in school it was horrible because we were made do it. But I had a guest on one of the first shows here, who I'm sure you might know, Limo Moyni from the Hollis Flowers.
Yeah,
and he's a prime example of somebody who makes Irish fashionable. He really does the way he does it. I just love that kind of twist, the way people can make the language, bring it back. And I'm sure, Noel, in your Moving Hearts movements, you guys are responsible for making Irish quite cool at many, many junctures.
Well, I think we got people interested in Ireland and Irish as well. You know,
Irish,
yeah. I think we had we still have an international appeal. So I think that opened up a lot of people, because we weren't a trad band as such. We were crossing a number of genres, and still do. You know, that I think brought people to Irish music that wouldn't normally be there. You know, once they saw Moving Hearts, they went back and looked at who were Planksty, who were Moving, who were the Bothy band, and of course then who were the Chiefs, who are the Chieftains, who's Sean O'Reilly, all that stuff. I think when you make an art form accessible to people, and if they are inquisitive, they will always follow back to where that comes from. And you know, like there are lots of bands around now who are playing traditional music in a way that would be kind of possibly straighter than what Moving Hearts would have played. You know, put a rhythm section in, and they would kind of be more applying the West Coast kind of bass and drums to it. Whereas we approach it from a way of saying, how do we make this different? And that in itself made people go, okay, what is this? I mean, world music wasn't around in 1981 whenever I got involved with the Hearts.
Oh,
you know,
the label wasn't.
Pardon?
It was.
It was, yeah, but yes, the idea of it was, so the idea, you know. Sorry, I just pulled my microphone on my head.
But it was, I mean, but you guys definitely broke the mold. I mean, let's be fair. You broke many molds with where you were going.
Yeah.
It wasn't just fashionable, because you weren't following anything. Moving Hearts was a complete and utter gateway to all of this. You know, many more acts were discovered because of you guys introducing yourselves to the world.
I think it was. I mean, Moving Hearts is the actual some of Moving Hearts is even greater than the people that are in it, in the sense that, like, if you have somebody like Donal Lunny and Davy Spillane in a band together, that is a formidable force.
Yes.
And when you, in the original version, when you had Christy as well, you know, that is, in its essence, are three major players in the Irish tradition. But when you put them together, it becomes a whole other thing. And really,
yeah, I think it's kind of like an Irish Pink Floyd. That's what Moving Hearts. That's what it is to me, because it's a movement. It's bigger than bigger than just the musicians there. I mean, you guys do it obviously, but it's huge.
Something is just, sorry, we've just been interrupted by one of our cats.
Ah, yes, that is the second.
She is the music lover of the two of them. She's the music lover.
Well, you know that David later on, my poet, he has a cat, and the cat will be in the video as well. So maybe
good man, David.
But no, listen, Noel, you really did. You paved the way for an awful lot of, you know, modern kind of, classical modern trad that opened so many doorways for everybody else, which major kudos for that. And yourself, Ailith, like with the Chieftains, how did that come about that you ended up performing?
Well, funnily enough, there was a festival which sadly no longer exists called the Bio Festival, which took place at the Concert Hall,
the National Concert Hall
in Dublin, and I was supporting Moving Hearts.
And she knew somebody in the band.
I wonder how that. Yeah, I wonder how does that happen now. I've never seen that kind of thing happen before.
But the funny thing was that I was actually with another band that I worked with. Obviously not Moving Hearts, but I was at the Lorient Festival, and I was on stage sound checking with this band called the Island Tapes, and this fellow during our sound check walked up to the stage and handed me a tiny wee piece of paper.
Yeah.
And it had Paddy Maloney's phone number on it. And this was after the Bio Festival. So Paddy had heard me perform at the Bio, or he'd heard somebody who'd heard me perform at the Bio Festival. And they said, you should give this girl a call. So I'm in Lorient in France. And I got this tiny wee piece of paper with Paddy's number scribbled on it. And he said, you should phone him tomorrow morning. And I had to leave. I was getting a silly o'clock flight or a train from Lorient to an airport, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I thought, well, if I have to phone Paddy in the morning and I'm travelling for the rest of the day, I better do it now because it's Paddy Maloney. And I phoned him at like 7:30 in the morning. Yes, and he was like, well, this is really good, Ailith, but maybe not this early the next time.
What a legend. What a legend.
I know.
Well, that's super. I mean, and obviously, let's be honest, by having joined forces with the Chieftains, and that obviously did huge things for you personally and career-wise, and because I know a lot of people are aware of you, Ailith, because during the week I was chatting to just different people, telling them who was on the show, and they're like, "What? My God, you've Ailith McCormack coming on the show." I was like, "Wow, this is great! You've got a great spread of fans out there." One that I must mention tonight is Joe McCabe.
You must mention Joe.
Yes, we have to mention Joe because only for him, he curated this interview. In fairness to him, so
he did indeed. So thank you, Joe. Shout out to Joe. We both know Joe very well. Yeah. In fact, the last time I hung out with him. I'm talking. The last time I hung out with him was at Moving Hearts gig at the Ennis Trad Fest. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's telling me here he said something about Katie Taylor and Stretch. So that must be something what he's talking about. Right.
That's the cat.
Oh, that's the cat. No, I get it. Joe's a man of many talents. He knows so much stuff. But we better get on to the concert in the cottage because it is out tonight. It is out right now, isn't it? Since 8 p.m. Tell us a bit about it. I've looked at it. Obviously, I've looked at all the background on it. It's brilliant. I love the idea, but I'd rather could you tell me a bit about it? What is the idea?
Was it your idea?
Oh yeah, clearly. Originally, what happened was that Ailith was asked by her agent in Germany. She's had 2 tours cancelled, so it would have been kind of April, May 2020, and then again this year. And they said, look, maybe we'll do this. Could you do a streaming concert? And as I tend to do, I said, well, actually, let's not just do a streaming concert. Let's film a concert and try and make something more out of it.
Yeah.
So so we then that was kind of the genesis of the idea. So we then put together how we would do it. We fortunately have another building attached to this house, which is basically another accommodation. But it's now become my studio. It's now filled with percussion gear.
Lovely.
So because that's what lockdown has done to so many people.
Or we could refer to it, Noel, as a man cave also,
No, it's not. No, it's very definitely a studio. It's right there because the Alice comes over.
I am allowed.
She's allowed into it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we then put together the idea, how do we do this? And then you spoke to Niamh.
I spoke to Niamh because when I toured in Germany, I toured with Niamh O'Brien, who's from Limerick, and she's doing a PhD at Limerick University just now. She's a great, great woman. She has introduced me to so many things being on the road with her because she's a little bit younger than I am, which is a good thing.
And she's also a wonderful. She's a wonderful harpist as well as being a wonderful woman.
Yeah, she is. I'm familiar. I'm down in Limerick here myself, broadcasting. I'm very familiar with her. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Niamh, you had Niamh and Cara Butler as well.
Yes. Now, Cara and I, obviously we've been on the road with the Chieftains for 14 years it is now. So, but Cara's been with the Chieftains for 35.
Oh my!
But she did start when she was like 7. No, not quite, but near enough.
The Michael Jackson of the Chieftains, yes.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, more or less.
Fair play to her. But anyway, getting back to it, it's out tonight, and the idea was obviously, Noel, as you were saying, was make this a little bit more than just your typical kind of Facebook Live or whatever you like. So you made this professionally and put it together. How did you manage with the camera work and all that kind of jazz?
You said professionally. Well, I think what we both discovered was during lockdown there was this massive learning curve that happened. You just had to do things. Yeah. And so basically for the cottage concert, what we did, we had 4 iPhones.
Okay.
And no, we had a proper audio recording facility. So we recorded everything on the 4 iPhones, and we multi-tracked what we were doing. And after we'd recorded the 3 of us in the room, I then overdubbed some other percussion instruments. So anybody who sees the program will see that I'm kind of standing in different places in the room at the same time. So it's obvious that it's not 100% live at the moment. So we did that, and then we started this process of looking at the video and editing that. So I started into a new program, so I had to learn another. And I
have to say, it was no related to the video.
So I started, got Final Cut Pro. How do it work? How does this work? YouTube chat, YouTube questions, all of that. And it was a much bigger project than I ever thought it would be. And it's given me a lot more insight into things. I mean, I edited with a proper editor, but I oversaw the editing of the Moving Hearts Live in Vicar Street DVD. And I remember getting the original, the first cuts of it, and the guy said, we think this is pretty close. And I came back with, I have 217 corrections.
Wow.
And that's the sort of, I think as performers, you have an eye as to what's going on and you know where things should be. So that was one of the things. And what I would find when we were doing this, I would do a section of the concert, and then I'd move on to the next one. I'd come across a problem, which I'd Google it and find out how to fix it, and fix it, and then I'd look back at the original thing and think, oh no, that's not as good as the next bit. I have to go back to that and do that again. So it took a lot longer than it did. Yeah. Than it should have done, actually, really.
The fact, but
a great learning curve.
Listen, you're not on your own, Noel. You're not on your own. I look at what I'm sitting here doing. This I hadn't a clue what I was doing when I started it. I was just doing live music on Facebook, and I got bored. I wanted to do something more. I wanted to put it out there. But for you guys to get together and use a couple of iPhones and your device for recording, so that's amazing, and it just goes to show what you can do. And I think that is the message of this pandemic, is that we all learn something. For sure.
I think that where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I really felt that I needed to reconnect with our audiences. I mean, that's what we've not been able to do for so long. And although many musicians are going back to work before, it's going to be a long time before we can, or if we will, start connecting the way we have in the past. I don't want to lose these people. And one other thing is that I bought a drone,
Now,
I taught myself how to fly.
Stop right there, because this is what I wanted. This is the question of all questions, because I was reading it here and I went, what? Hang on a second. God, wait a minute. Wait, she's flying a drone, right? You're mowing the lawns, okay? You're
Yes.
feeding dad. You're feeding
Yes.
dad, and you're looking after everything, and you do all that. And then in the middle of your press release, you're flying a drone.
I am.
Okay. So
Well,
what
that
happened there?
Well, I, as I say, I'm from the Hebrides, and the scenery there is amazing. It's very rugged. It's more like Connemara than it is here in Wexford. But the scenery here in Wexford is also beautiful. I mean, the beautiful thing is that we live in the middle of fields that other people own, so we're not responsible for them. We just get to look at them.
We just see them changing every season.
Changing with every season,
Beautiful,
which is
isn't it?
amazing.
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons why we left the city was to come back to nature, and it's kept us sane really in this whole time. So yeah, I bought a drone and
did you leave the city? Did you leave the city like pre-pandemic or during it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, please.
I have to tell you why we left the city. When we got married, we were living right downtown central Dublin, South Circular Road, 10 minutes walk to Grafton Street.
Busy.
We got married. I said to Will, like, we'll move to a bigger house. Do you want a garden, or what would you like? He said, garden? I want fields.
Right.
So we basically looked in a semicircle from Termafeckin to Wexford, and we could have gone anywhere. And we found this place here, and we kind of fell in love with it.
I fell in love with it the minute we started driving down the lane the very first day.
Beautiful. Yeah. I love it. Well, I'll tell you something, lads. I am not too dissimilar to you, because I'm in the sunroom in my house here, but I'm on a farm. Thankfully, I don't have to work it or do anything. I can look at everything around me, but it's beautiful. And I'm in a house that's 103 years old. It's just fabulous. And I know exactly what you guys mean and how you feel. Your sanity, your peace, your inner peace, everything. You walk out the door in the morning, you've got animals around. It's just, there's nothing like it. It's beautiful. Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful.
There are times.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there are times when I'm going out the door here, like I'll be doing in a few weeks' time, to go to Wexford Opera Festival. So I'll be dressed in my tails, my white tie, white bow tie, white waistcoat, tailcoat, to go and do an opera. And maybe 2 hours before that, I'll have my strimming gear on and my mask and my Wellingtons, and I look, I look the part in the neighbourhood. I certainly don't look the part in the neighbourhood when I'm in my tails.
We have a lovely community here, and that's one of the positives out of the pandemic is that we've got to know people better. Because a lot of the time we would scoot away and then come back, and this is our sort of chill out piece.
Time is against you all the time.
Yeah.
So tell me, is there any drone footage in concert?
Yes, of course, absolutely. Is there? There's loads of drone footage.
That's it. Yeah. We actually we're thinking of applying to Wexford County Council for some sponsorship. It's like a board falsha ad.
Well, I can tell you,
not joking, it really is.
You have just sold it to me. I'm in. If there's drone footage, I'm in. And especially if Ailith is flying the drone. I want to see what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, you'll be pleased to know that the drone footage that you witness is the stuff that made the cut.
And
our other cat stretches in the drone footage too.
You had to get past the editor as well, of course. That's
very true. Very, very true.
But tell us, it's very important that before we do finish up, where can people go and watch Concert in the Cottage as of now, as of tonight?
As of right now, they can go to my website, which is www.ailith.net, and that's where we're streaming the concert from. So tickets are there, www.ailith.net/shows, and that'll take you right to the page.
Brilliant. And to watch the show, then you just get your ticket and in you go.
You get your ticket there on the site, and you watch it on the site as well. Once you get your ticket, you'll get an email, and it'll have all the links and tell you how to
great.
watch
So you just go straight in. Wow, that's going to be amazing. And fair play to you to do something like that, because a lot of us are doing different things. As we said, we're all trying new stuff and that, but this is exciting. I really think it's a fabulous idea, and the longevity of it, I think, and you look back in years to come and go, wow, that was a great experience.
Hope so.
You will. And before we do have a piece of music from you as well, I thought I had to mention, like, your duet with Chris Christopherson. Now, what a treat
I know.
that must have been to sing with that man.
It was amazing. I mean, I remember him from the films he did. You know, I was only a kid, but I still remember seeing them, and I remember having a huge crush on him because he still is a very handsome man, and
Absolutely.
And the thought of, you know, when I heard that he was working with the Chieftains, I didn't know whether I would be able to sing with him. I didn't know how it was all going to pan out. I didn't know what he would want to do, but I prepared myself with all the songs so that anything that came up, if it arose that I could sing with him, I was ready. Yeah. So yeah, it was amazing, and also it was at Celtic Connections, and I have never seen so many female singers within the world that I work in side stage as that day. I mean, the Chieftains they definitely have a following, and there would always be ladies there and to see them, but that night it was special. Even more.
He's an icon. He's an absolute icon. Yes. An absolute icon, you know, without a doubt. But it's a pleasure, guys, to have had you on, and especially, you know, Concert in the Cottage. I think it is possibly one of, if not the best ideas I've heard throughout the pandemic. I love all, and we've had a lot of guests on Friday Night Live who have been doing different things and all, and that's the best part of this. This is what I enjoy about it. Before you go, will you give us a few bars of?
Yeah, we can indeed.
Brilliant. I know earlier on when we were doing our sound check, Noel, you had the bower on ready. And by the way, Noel, before you go, I think that we're actually in matching shirts, which is quite.
Yeah, I think you're quite a trendsetter.
Listen, I just want to let everybody know that we didn't plan that. Okay, it's just we have similar tastes. So that's
well, I had to cook dinner after the sound check, so the other shirt wasn't really wearable.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, guys. In your own time, Ailith McCormick and Noel Eccles, take it away, and thank you so much.
Kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana kakara, kachina brokatana katu, skanaya no kambie. Kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana kakara, kachina brokatana katu, skanaya no kambie. Kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana kakara, kachina brokatana katu, skanaya no kambie. Kachina brokatana katu, kachina brokatana kakara, kachina brokatana katu, skanaya no kambie. Chicken, you can be the second chicken, you can be the chicken, you can you can chicken, you can be the second, the broken little thread. Chicken, you can be the second chicken, you can be the chicken, you can you can chicken, you can be the second, the broken little thread. I can't take one, the play on the hook, the change of good and wood itself. The year the one that broken, which is my head, chicken be ready. I can't take one, the play on the hook, the change of good and wood itself. The year the one that broken, which is my head, chicken be ready. Chicken down upon it, chicken down upon it, chicken down, cheer us out, chicken down upon it, the broken good and be ready. Chicken down upon it, chicken down upon it, chicken down, cheer us out, chicken down upon it, the broken good and be ready.
Wow. Thank you so much, guys. Absolutely amazing as always. Listen, let's everybody go check out Concert in the Cottage after Friday Night Live, if that's okay. I hope you don't mind, because okay. Just going to try and hold on to them for another little while. But listen, guys, I know it's going to be fabulous. I'm going to go watch it myself. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. Your time, your patience, everything have been wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you so much to be a part of the show.
No,
thanks for having us. Delighted to do it. Thank you.
Mind yourselves, guys. Kick back and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Night. Well, there you have it. Ailith McCormick and Noel Eccles. That was definitely a high point of the show for me so far to date. Every now and again, you stumble upon guests, and thanks, of course, to my good friend Joe McCabe, who put me in touch with Ailith, and things just clicked together and linked together. It was just wonderful and great to meet up. And then you get an interview like that, and just the talent oozing out of every corner of the house. So thank you so much. Concert in the Cottage by Ailith McCormick and Noel Eccles. Go check it out, guys. I will put the link to her website up on the page for Friday Night Live straight after the show. But moving on, we're going to keep going. My next guest is a country and western, or a country singer, if you like. She'll tell me, she'll probably correct me on that. And it is, of course, Laura Carley. And I know Laura kind of, up and down through the years, I've bumped into her and stuff, and she's a fabulous singer and a fabulous entertainer, amongst many other things. We'll chat to her about in a minute. But right now, we're going to listen to "Living for Now," which was a song she had out a while ago, and I love it. She's got a really sort of a soft tone to her voice, which is just fabulous. So we're going to get a bit of that going on. This is "Living for the Now" by Laura Carley, and we'll be chatting to her in a couple of minutes on Friday Night Live.
Well, it's been a long, cold winter that we thought would never end. And a year feels like forever without family and friends. But the days are getting warmer now. Spring is near an end. New life everywhere. Just let go of your cares. Let the morning sun caress your face and brighten up your day. Let the wind that whispers through the trees blow your fears away. When the softness of the summer rain falls upon your brow, forget about tomorrow, start living for the now. Yesterday's a memory, it's living in the past. And tomorrow is not guaranteed, might never come to pass. You've gotta live each second like it might be your last. Hold on to your dreams. Things are never quite as awful as they seem. Let the morning sun caress your face and brighten up your day. Let the wind that whispers through the trees blow your fears away. And the softness of the summer rain falls upon your brow. Forget about tomorrow, start living for the now. Let the morning sun caress your face and brighten up your day. Let the wind that whispers through the trees blow your fears away. And the softness of the summer rain falls upon your brow. Forget about tomorrow, start living for the now. Let the morning sun caress your face and brighten up your day. Let the wind that whispers through the trees blow your fears away. Let the softness of the summer rain falls upon your brow. Forget about tomorrow, start living for the now.
And that was Laura Carley, "Living for the Now." What a lovely tune. I really like that song. I have to say, it is. It's got a real ring to it. I love her tone. I have to say, I really like the way she sings. I like, she could almost cross over into kind of jazz and that kind of stuff. Now, Laura at the minute was here and then disappeared on me for a second. So don't worry, folks. Stay with me. It's just a little bit of a camera glitch, I'd say. So what I'm going to do is because I promised a good friend of mine earlier on today, well, yesterday actually, that we would debut his brand new single that he just dropped literally today on YouTube and Spotify and all over the place. And that is, of course, none other than Davy Long from Kilkenny. And Davy's new single is called Flesh and Blood. And it is absolutely fabulous. So I'm going to give you a listen to this. This came out today, lads. You got to go buy it.
Just like
Davy Long
you,
from Kilkenny, Flesh and Blood. Here we go.
just like you. I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue. We're all flesh and blood, and space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. Nobody knows what the spirit holds. Lightning through the streets, deluge breaking over the land. We're all flesh and blood, space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. I fell upon the grass, a ghost from the past. Even the darkest night will pass. Even the darkest night will pass. We're all flesh and blood, space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue. I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue.
Wow. That is the new single from Davy Long in Kilkenny called Flesh and Blood. If you were watching the show a while back, Davy was a guest of mine on the show. We had a super interview. He sat down at his piano and we talked for ages. It was one of those interviews that just went on and on and on. And in a good way, we just couldn't stop talking to one another. He's a fabulous, fabulous drummer, by the way, as well. And singer, as you can hear, a musician. His full album is out as well. And that's the new single, which literally dropped today. And that the video dropped on YouTube as well. Everything brand new today. So it's just wonderful. So go out and get it, guys. Flesh and Blood by Davy Long, the new single. It was at number 3 in the charts today, I think in the iTunes charts, and it's most likely going to hit number 1. So go and get it. We seem to have a bit of a loss of connection with Laura at the minute. Laura Cardy, who was my next guest. But not to worry, we'll get her organised shortly. These things happen on Friday Night Live all the time, unfortunately. So what I am going to do is give you a little treat. Later on, I was going to do the little as I usually do, a shameless plug on the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the shameless plug now for the crack. I want to treat you all to another little video while we'll figure things out with Laura there in a minute. And this is a video that we made way back in New York, outside of a really famous venue, which is Arlene's Grocery. And Arlene's Grocery, if you have been in New York, you will know that it is one of the most famous venues for music in the world. And I couldn't get into the venue to get a gig because it was too difficult to book a gig at the time, and I was there doing the tour. So I asked the guys if I could play outside, and they were like, yeah, sure, you can play outside. And at the time I was releasing Butterfly, the single, and I said, you know what, lads, let's do this. Let's play Butterfly outside Arlene's Grocery. So I'm going to play it for you now, the shameless plug, and we'll try and get back to Laura Carney then in a minute. So enjoy this, lads. This is just a bit of an amateur video that we shot outside Arlene's, but it's not amateur. It's actually shot by two of my friends, and it's pretty cool. I like it. So let's give it a listen. Here we go.
Standing in the fucking rain. The day I woke to a bright blue sunset, and I was lost inside myself, and all around me, brand new circle of life. All around me, the sound of freedom. Today my soul came back to life. Now here it comes, a new beginning. My time to shine and face the light. Here it comes, a new beginning. I am the butterfly. I am the butterfly. I am. If you could imagine eternity to the light, that's how this day feels from morning to night. Now every time I see your smile, I am hypnotized. Then my soul came back to life. Now here it comes, my new beginning. My time to shine and face the light. Here it comes, a new beginning. I am the butterfly. I am the butterfly. I am. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I am the butterfly. I am the butterfly. I am.
And that was another one of those nights in New York. I just thought I'd treat you to that tonight. Just one of them nights when, well, between the hecklers and between everybody else, it was great crack. But most people enjoyed it. But there was one or two there giving me a bit of abuse. But that is what music is all about. And I do see now that we have Laura Carney in full picture anyway, and hopefully sound. So let's go for it and see what happens. Laura, how are you?
Hello, Grania.
It's Grania. Oh my God, I thought it was Laura. There you go. That is the first time that has ever happened on this show. Grania, you're here now. Oh my God.
Sure, I'm here now. Yeah.
I said I have a picture and a sound of somebody. It's Laura, and it's not. It's Grania. You know what we're going to do now? Because this is it now. These things happen. What we're going to do is we're going to get straight into it, and then I'm going to play your piece at the end because we have a lovely, lovely piece that you read online on YouTube that I just love. So we're going to feature that later on. But first and foremost, for those people who don't know Grania Rafferty, my third guest tonight. Apologies, it's not Laura. Laura's been coming in and out of the camera here, so that's why I thought you were actually you were the same person. Anyway, how is life in Drogheda, Grania, for a start?
Life is good in Drogheda. It is good. It is starting to open up again, and you know that's the main thing that everybody seems to be getting back out there.
Brilliant. Well, for people who don't know you, you were involved in professional theatre for a number of years, productions including writing and narrating for 2 short films. Tell me about. No, I'm not very good at Irish. I'm going to try this. I think it's Crúnú. Is it Crúnú?
It's Crinan and Og. Crinan and Og.
Crinan and Og.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Selkie, which we're going to feature later on that you're reading. And it's, oh my God, Grania, I listened to it twice today. Twice.
Did you? Cool.
Yes. And I listened to it. I watched it once and then I didn't watch it. I just listened to you reading it. And it's actually better when you actually, no offense, it's a compliment. When you just don't watch the video and just listen to you reading, you have a wonderful voice for reading and narration. And I can imagine, I could actually see you kind of doing like, you know, like movie overlays and things like that. You just have that kind of voice. It's just amazing. It's just relaxing. Or maybe Reiki or meditation. I don't know. All of those things will be good. But you performed in Glitch, written by Martin McGuire.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Gosh, I can't remember exactly when that was now. It's a couple of years ago, but
Years back,
yeah. That would have been the Drogheda Arts Centre under Calippo Theatre Company with Darren Thornton directing. That was a blast. So it was. It was really, really good. We had it was very interesting for me to do. Actually, it was kind of challenging because initially I was supposed to be not seen. I was supposed to be, like, they were just using me as a voiceover, and then they decided to put me sitting on the stage. So it was an interesting challenge because between speaking, I had to remain perfectly still. Okay. So that's a challenge for me.
Wow. And did you start out more or less narrating rather than being on a stage? Did that kind of come later in the play, or have you always been interested in theatre as well?
I've been working in theatre for probably the last 15 years.
Wow.
Involved in it in one shape or form or another, whether it's community theatre, whether it was whatever it was. I've been facilitating in Drogheda for donkey's years and creating and writing and making theatre. I worked with Upstate Theatre Project for 3 years and was involved in a lot of different productions that they have done. I've been involved in theatre around Drogheda for a long time now. But
the Drogheda Arts Centre is it's a phenomenal spot. I mean, it's synonymous with many great tours that go on, not just theatrical but musical. A lot of bands pass through there as well. I remember passing through there one time actually with Aslan a long time back. But it's a beautiful venue, and just so warm. Everything is just so well laid out there. I still remember it. But you're there a long time now, and you must find the work very, very rewarding to be part of the theatre there.
Yeah, I do. I love it. I've been there under a couple of different directors. Currently, the lady that's director is under. I started initially with Marcella Bannon. Who's a wonderful lady, and then there was Orla Maloney, and now with Colette Farrell, who's the director of it at the moment. And I have to say, it's through her guidance that I made those movies, Selkie and even The Children of Lear, because it just so came about when lockdown happened that all of our live events, obviously, were all cancelled immediately, and you refocus.
Is that when you made that's when you made Selkie and the movies and stuff was during lockdown?
Yeah,
Okay, brilliant.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a great time filler. I can imagine that was something to do during the day that was very,
Yeah.
exciting and fun.
I was very grateful to Colette because she kind of said, look, she'd support as many local artists as she could during that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
if they could find a way to just kind of carry on doing work. And for me, it was just that kind of when I put the brakes on it that March, and you're kind of thinking, oh my God,
Yeah.
what do I do now? And I sat back for a while and thought about things, and then stories and stuff. When you're not doing what you have to do as well, as kind of you start to think, oh sure, look, I'll just tell a few stories online and see what the crack is, and sure, people seem to like them. And I did it more just to amuse myself in part.
Yeah.
But also that particular story, Selkie, is actually it's a Scottish myth originally, really. And
You were telling me earlier on. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
telling me that. Yeah, so Ailís might be familiar with this, and she's still
Yeah.
watching. So
Oh,
yeah,
deadly!
tell us
Yeah,
more about that.
I was listening to her, and she's just stunning, and I was kind of like, oh my God, I was in awe of her voice and her talent, because I sing at the end of Selkie, and it's nowhere near as talented.
You do. I like it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
But I was inspired by this Scottish myth. I had been to the Isle of Egg,
Okay.
which is in the small isles on the west coast of Scotland, for a holiday 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I started sea swimming there with a good friend of mine, Leisha McKenna. And she told me this story, and I kind of got into it. And of course, it's a myth that's connected with all the Celtic regions. There's a lot of Irish Selkies, Scottish Selkies, and the like. Selkies are seal people.
I was going to ask you to explain that to everybody. Just I know what it is because I was looking into it, but yeah, seal people.
Seal people.
Where do they come from in mythology?
Now, I've been working in mythologies for donkey's years, between working with kids and working with in a variety of different methods. I've been researching mythologies from all over the world, and it just so happened that I fell upon this tale of the Selkies, and they're seal people. Right. So they can take off their seal skin and they can come on land and dance. They like dancing, and if you find and catch a Selkie, and you have to keep their coat, they'll stay on land, and they'll marry you and have children, and sure, they'll be the best mothers on the planet.
Wow. Okay.
But as soon as they find their coat, they're gone.
Oh, all right.
So I mean, there was a big one out there by, there was on Roan. I can't remember. It was the Selkie. It was a beautiful animation, an Irish one there not so long ago. Yeah. And I've been enchanted by them. I also swim now in a place called Clogherhead. I don't know if you know it.
I do. Yeah, beautiful place. And
beautiful.
Yes, you are big into swimming, and I discovered this about you during the week. Big into swimming. Down here in Limerick, by the way, I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of swimming in the Shannon, but it's very popular. We have a place near where I'm living here called the World's End. And Grania, you must get in your car and get down here someday to the World's End. I'll meet you. I'm not a great swimmer, but I'll jump in with you, and we'll go for a coffee after. But oh my God, you should do it because I know you're passionate about swimming.
Deadly.
It's the most phenomenal place in the world, in my opinion. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
I will do that. I will do that because it's interesting. Clogherhead, where I swim, geologically, I swim at Port Oriel, and it's a strange place because it's where two tectonic plates meet, and they meet at Clogherhead and they end at the mouth of the Shannon. So we're on some level, we're already connected.
We're connected. That's amazing.
Yeah. One side is the northern tectonic plate, and the other is the southern tectonic plate. And there's a difference in rock formations in Clogherhead, which actually allows, in Port Oriel, they have kind of a high concentration of minerals that actually they come into the port. They're at Port Oriel. There's actually a company called Oriel Salt.
Which end am I on? Am I on the southern tectonic plate down here?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I loved, you know what? I loved that in school, tectonic plates.
I know, me too.
Learning about that in school. I have to say, I never forgot those words, but that is very, very interesting. Yeah. Well, you should pop down and check out the World's End.
I will do.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
You obviously find swimming very therapeutic. Is it a part of your daily routine every morning? Every day?
As much as I can. I swim with a bunch of people called the Lobsters. and we swim and the Port Oriel Selkies, but we swim in Clogher Port, there's been swimming groups there 30, 40 years. It's not a new thing there. They're swimming there a long time.
Yeah.
And there's seals in the harbour. So
Wow.
we swim with the seals, and I absolutely adore them. So I'm just completely bewitched and enchanted by seals.
Yeah, I love them too, I have to say. Seals, dolphins, all that kind of stuff. Down around Valencia now is a beautiful place as well. All Cape Clear, all the islands down around the southwest of Ireland, beautiful. I'll tell you, he was on the show here ages back, not that long back, but Luca Bloom. He's a big swimmer now. He swims a lot. He's in Ennistimon, and he goes out to Lahinch and all different areas. And do you have, because he was telling me this ages ago, and I heard about it, but I didn't believe it. Do you have a dry robe? Do you subscribe to that? Because he has one, and I said, no way, Luca, you're joking. And he said, no, it's a very fashionable thing now. It's a very important thing among swimmers.
Well, I don't have a dry robe. I have, I to my shame, I have two. I have a bod pod, which is a beautiful changing robe that I got from a lady in Antrim, I think, who makes them. And she makes them to your own specifications. So I have a bod pod.
Right.
And it's leopard skin fur on the inside, and it's burgundy colour.
I mean, this whole swimming thing is getting out of control.
Yeah.
That's
it
cool,
is. And then I've a beautiful one from Dunn's, which I wear all the time, which is really handy.
But bod pods, I'm going to check that out.
She's great.
Bod pods. That's brilliant. Well, listen, getting back to yourself now on a more important note. What is in the pipeline for, well, hopefully post-pandemic that we're coming out of everything? Are you getting back into the theatre now? Is it open? Is the Drogheda Arts Centre open?
It is open as of this week. I think they had their first theatre club show. Thanks be to God. They were the toughest restrictions all around. And it's been a nightmare because while one thing I found about lockdown is I got the opportunity to write a lot, which was great. But, everything stopped for 18 months, and everything has been pushed on another 18 months. So, you were given schedules, and you're working out schedules and productions, and then, oh, stop, you can't do that. Okay, we'll start again. Oh, no, we can't do that now. Oh, no, you can't do it that way. Oh, you can't work with that person. It's like, oh,
restarting. The reboot is the hardest part.
Restarting. Yeah, there was so many false starts that literally it just became, oh, right, okay, we'll just shelve that for another few months until that person's ready, until that person can meet that. So it has been a bit of a nightmare, really, in terms of theatre. But I've kind of enjoyed the downtime in one respect because I've done a fair bit of writing, and I've been lucky to have been won an award there by Louth County Council to produce a play called High Tide. Again,
High Tide. Now, I want to ask you about that because I love the name of it also, and of course, when I read it, High Tide, straight away I was thinking, here's Grania swimming, loving the seals, loving the sea. Does it tie into all of your passionate involvement with swimming as well, or is it completely about a completely different subject?
It's kind of different, I suppose. I think it's just connected to the sea. I suppose just that it's more like a Thelma and Louise kind of story, and it's based on a true story.
Okay,
it's based on It's based on myself and my granny, and how. I started writing in lockdown, so it's based on if I had absconded her from a nursing home, and what we would have done. We would have gone on the run and where we would have gone, etc. But years ago now, she's long since passed, my granny.
Yes.
But years ago, I did go out to bring her out for a spin.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and we went down to Lake Town and sat looking out at the sea and had the chats and the crack. And sure did, and I left the lights of the car on, and the tide was coming in, and so the car wouldn't start. My granny was 95 years of age at the time, and she was like, "Oh my God, Granny, have I to get out and push the car?" And I was like, "No, you don't, but you might have to start it. I'll get out and push it."
Yeah.
But it was quite an eventful trip, and it's one that she remembered, despite kind of memory loss and everything else. She remembered it quite clearly and told it to everybody who visited afterwards. She said, tell you about my granddaughter trying to drown me out in Lake Town.
I love it. Well, High Tide. And come here, tell me, is High Tide going to be is going to become a theatre production?
Yes, yeah, it will. It'll definitely. The Drogheda is producing that for us. So we're just working out dates and deadlines at the moment. We had Darren Thornton in there consulting with us and giving me a hand with it.
And
so
do you have a cast? Do you have a cast lined up? Is everything kind of lined up now, or
almost? It's literally just times and dates and when people are available and the like. So.
Right.
And that can be arduous. You know, you do the right and you get all excited about the stuff, and then you think, all right, now I have to go into the production of things, which can be
It's the pain,
but it'll happen.
But it will happen. I'm looking forward to that. That sounds that's a real Irish Thelma and Louise story now. That I can imagine. I could see that on the screen. I'll be honest. I could see that.
Yeah. We consider that. We were going to do it for screen during lockdown. Again, it was going to be something, but it's just you couldn't film in lockdown. I mean, we made Selkie by the virtue of the filmmaker made that film and I did the narration. So we didn't have to...
All remote.
Yeah.
But it came together really well, I have to say.
It did. Yeah.
You know, and you would never know that you did it separately. That's that's the beauty of it. We all did that, Last year I did a Christmas single and I recorded it with a friend of mine and he was in Kildare and I was in Limerick. And we did it. It was so weird, but wonderful at the same time. But it was weird. It's a difficult one to get your head around, isn't it?
Yeah.
The distance and all that, you know.
Yeah, it's been a learning curve, but hopefully, we'll get back onto the stage. I had to go to Slimming World for a round of applause for a while. So
wow. Okay. Yeah, well, sure. Look, I can tell you something. I'm sitting here with my arms folded because I'm the same. With this pandemic, I have been indulging in more ways than one. Lots of new foods and different things when you've time on your hands and stuff. And I have the kids here and all that. Mind you, I'm busy, but you do have time in your hands when you're not working and stuff like that, especially being a musician myself. But yeah, we've all indulged. But it has been fun. And the time I enjoyed the most. The time was the best part. Friday Night Live here would not be here only for the pandemic. So I say, hey,
cool.
You know, thank you, pandemic. It wasn't all bad. No, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah. I was the same. I got to work on local radio here as well in town, and I really loved that. I loved it more than anything in lockdown. That sense of, oh my God, localness and radio and
something
listening.
nice about it, isn't it?
Yeah. And we went on a crazy flight of fancy. And another mythological Amelia Earhart finds High Brazil.
Yeah. Well,
of course she does.
I absolutely love local radio, community radio, and local radio. I love it. And I started a course last week with Christmas FM myself. I've been doing these courses all year, and I said, you know what? Now I still have a little bit of time left. I'm not fully back into things, so I started, and it's the best crack ever. It's just to do something new, you know. Just who knows? We'll give it a bash anyway and try. I know you're going to do a reading for us this evening, and after that, by the way, I am going to play Selkie because of our little my mix-up at the start there, and apologies again. What are you going to read for us, Grania?
Well, see, I've been working on this piece that I'm hopefully going to have it out. I'm not sure exactly when, hopefully by the end of October, and it'll be something similar. It's just a story. I got into just loving these stories. Anyway, as I said, I'm way into mythologies and different stories like that. And so I thought, what if I created a mythology specifically to Drogheda, other than Boan, which I work on as well. But this is my own imagination of somebody who's out there looking after us and looking after our town during the pandemic. Yeah. Now, I'm really going to read you a little bit of it because I don't want to go on too long.
What's the title, Grania?
It's called The Navigator.
The Navigator. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Grania Rafferty, in your own time, go for it. And I'm going to sit back and relax because I know I'm going to get very relaxed when you start doing this. Okay? If I close my eyes here, I'm not asleep.
I know.
Right, Grania, in your own time, The Navigator.
I'm just going to throw in, there's loads more to it, but sure, look, I'll give you a taste
absolutely.
of it.
And it's important to say that to everybody. We're only getting snippets of your work this evening. Yeah. And after this, we're going to tell everybody where to go and listen to the whole show. Okay, Grania, in your own time.
Okay. So the people of Drogheda were the same then as they are now, in that they loved their bridge. The only difference between then and now is that you could also walk across it in those days. The train drivers held the key for the gate that allows you access just above the back of the Cord Road at the top of the Fisherman's Steps. Now, Patrick worked all kinds of shift work, as train drivers do. Some days he'd be up at the crack of dawn and he'd relish his morning walk across the viaduct. The sun would come up out at Baltray and all of Drogheda looked like a magic place, with Millmount on one side and all of the 7 steeples of the churches glistening in the morning sun, all folded neatly into the Boyne Valley. On beautiful mornings, it reminded him of a pop-up storybook filled with curious tales of the magic of ordinary lives. It was a different story on wild and rainy days where the wind would cut the jaws off you and you'd have to try and hold onto your cap the whole way across with your head and shoulders bent towards the wind. Those days it was a scary thought that you could fall to your death below, as so many before him had done. But not Patrick, for he had grown up on the tracks. He was born in the railway terrace on the other side of the bridge, and his whole family worked for the Great Northern Railway Company. When he was a bold young fella, he even carved his name onto the outermost steel he could reach on the side facing the sea. He thought that way anyone coming up the Boyne would know this was his town. He'd played games amongst the carriages in the station, walked the length and breadth of the tracks. There wasn't a nook or a cranny he didn't know about. Trains were his life. So on windy days, he was the only one to use the bridge. And it was on a morning such as this that our story begins. It was just before dawn on Christmas Eve, and the whole town eagerly awaited the arrival of their relatives and friends home for the Christmas holidays. Patrick was up at 5 a.m, shaving in the scullery, using a basin of cold water and a sharpened razor blade to make himself smart for the day ahead, when he heard a strange noise, a whiny sound like someone crying or singing badly. Out at the back of their house was a small yard, but because Drogheda is in a valley and therefore full of hills, the walls at the back of the garden had a door in it. This door led into a network of tunnels that went off in 3 directions, one left, one right, and one up a set of steps that led to the top garden. Now, these tunnels were rarely used as they were said to be haunted by the ghost of the builders of the viaduct, the navvy ghost. To be a navvy back in the day meant you worked on the navigational routes like the Belfast to Dublin railway route. Patrick had heard the story, but thought, like most of the adults, that it was just a story for children, keep them from exploring the tunnels and getting lost. Raymond and Doreen, his children, never went into the tunnels without their mother or father because they were damp, dark, and very scary. On this morning, Patrick thought he could hear a noise. He thought it was a fox, and he went to the front door to see if it was out in the street. But no, there was nothing. He went to the back door, and again he found nothing. Still, this whiny, sing-songy noise seemed to come from somewhere, and so he looked at the door in the back wall to the top garden. Just as he put his hand under the handle, he noticed a blue light seeping out from under the door. And this time he heard it more clearly, a song sang in the dark by a raggy man's voice. Navigator, navigator, rise up and be strong. The morning is here and there's work to be done. Take your pick and your shovel and a bowl dynamite for to shift a few tons of this earthly delight. Well, in the half-light, Patrick could just make out the shadow of a weathered-looking man in a shirt, a waistcoat and corduroy pants. He was holding up a lantern which emitted the strange blue light. Patrick stumbled back out of the tunnels with a fright and hastily made his way back indoors. He pulled on his train driver's cap and headed out the door to work. You see, some people have strange ways of dealing with things that frighten them. They tell themselves all sorts of lies to keep to keep calm. I leave you with that there.
Wow. I went into an absolute trance listening to your voice, Grania, to be honest. That was a great story. Wow, great story. I can visualize it. I could really get into it there. And I always think of the word navvy. There was a couple of different versions of that, wasn't there? A navvy. You could be described as a navvy in other ways that wasn't navigational in Ireland back in the day. I love it. I love it. Come here, tell me this before you go. Where can people get their hands on these wonderful readings? Where can we go listen to you? Do you have podcasts or
I do. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm dreadful at marketing. I'm dreadful at anything that involves a form or filling out things. But I do have a YouTube channel. and I will have it up on that. I'll post a link up, and
Brilliant.
hopefully.
Yeah, and I'll put the link up because I know the YouTube channel as well. And
Cool.
but I definitely think the pandemic has been a good thing for you, because more of that, please. That's very cool. My next artist tonight is a spoken word artist, and you're quite similar, even though I know your storytelling, but it's not too distant from spoken word as well. It's
Cool.
lovely. It's lovely to hear, like, and I think you should definitely keep going along that route, because you have a lovely voice for it, and you also have the talent, obviously, to write a great story. I cannot wait to see High Tide. I really can't.
Me too. Me too.
I can see it. Do you remember that movie years back when what was his name, was on the Honda 50 going down the beach?
Yeah.
What was his name? Kelly. Do you remember our great actor? Jeez, I can't. His name is escaping
David
me now.
Kelly.
David Kelly, and he was on a Honda 50 flying down the beach. It was the movie about the lotto, Waking Ned.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that's exactly what I was getting. That kind of a screen movie with your story there. I just think it would be brilliant, especially on the run with Granny. Wow.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Heading for the border.
Heading for the border with Granny. There you go. I'll tell you something. It'll work. It'll work for sure. Grania Rafferty, Grania, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. And of course, I must thank our mutual wonderful friend, Jackie Hudson Lawler, for whom this would not have happened, only for her, for putting me in touch with all of you, friends of hers. So thanks a million. And tell her when you see her, I said hello. And
I will indeed.
We will chat in person, all of us, hopefully someday soon.
It was lovely to do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Grania. You're welcome. I'll let you off the hook now, and you can relax, take it easy for the rest of the evening. I'm going to play a little bit of the video now. Thanks, Grania.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Grania Rafferty there, based in Drogheda, and a woman of many talents, by the way, not just the theatre and curating the theatre and all that kind of stuff, but her stories. And I definitely think that High Tide should be a movie, an Irish movie. I did check it out during the week and the background to it, because I have some of the literature on it here, but I love the idea of heading for the border with your granny, on the run with Granny. It's an Irish Thelma and Louise, if I ever heard one. So anyway, while because we had a little bit of mix up earlier on with Laura, and we might get her before the night is out. It could happen, but I am going to play the little bit of footage that we were going to do. So this is Selkie, which is read by yours truly. We just listened to Grania Rafferty, and I want you to listen to a bit of this, because it's just so beautiful and well read, by the way. It just is so well read. So this is Grania Rafferty doing her version of Selkie, and the Seal people, by the way. So I'm learning something new all the time. So I'm going to get straight into a little bit of this. Here we go.
Been strong, and on more than one occasion, despite all danger, he risked his life for the occupants of a house or building or any nature. He rescued cats. He worked to help people who got trapped in their cars. He was the first in a flood. In fact, he was the first to raise his hand to volunteer for any task, no matter what the risk. He was a fireman. And for too long, he felt a weariness of life that had taken his smile. He worked long hours and chose night shifts so as to be in the company of people less and less. He slept all day and worked all night. Now, as anyone will know, that humans need the daylight, and the fireman's boss knew this. He insisted that he take some time off work and try to find something to cheer him up. And so he did. He called up some of his old school friends, and they went out for food and drinks. There was great merriment and laughter from all the boys as they joked with each other and played cards well into the night. As the night came to an end, our fireman's friend said, "Come and stay with me and my wife. We'll cheer you up in our little cottage by the sea. My children will play games with you, and my wife makes the best fish pies." The fireman agreed, and the two went that night to stay in his house. The next morning, when his family awoke, they welcomed him, and his wife assured him that him being there would be a help to her husband, as he was a fisherman and needed extra hands to mend the nets. They had 6 children, and the house did indeed feel full of life and joy and lots of noise. The fireman felt a little better for a couple of days, but inevitably the old feeling of weariness crept into his bones, and he couldn't sleep, and so he took to wandering the old fishing village at night so as not to disturb the family. He climbed the old road that led to the harbour, and as he came over the crest of the hill, in front of him was the most beautiful full moon he had ever seen. Reflecting off the black ripples of the water's surface, it looked like a magical place. He thought for a moment he could hear singing, and he quickened his pace. But instead of going straight on to the pier, he turned left, following the voice, and curved back upon himself to the slipway. He knew there was a quiet place there, as he'd seen swimmers taking a dip only that afternoon. But who could be singing at this time of night? He got to the water's edge, and there was no one to be seen. All at once, he was disappointed and relieved. Such was the beauty of the scenery, with the mountains as a backdrop, the clinking of small razor-clam boats as they tipped each other in the gentle swell, tethered safely to the pier beyond, and stars as clear and abundant as grains of sand on the strand. He was overcome with the beauty of it all and started to weep. He sat down on what looked like an old leather bag and finally cried his heart out. Unafraid that anyone would hear him, he sobbed unreservedly till tears ran down his cheeks and dropped to the water that lapped at his feet. When he was finished, he heard a voice in the darkness say, "Salt water is the cure for everything." He jumped up, clutching the bag in his hand, for fear had taken over him. "Who's there? Are you in the water? I can't see your face. The moon is behind you." The most beautiful woman he'd ever seen emerged from the rocks just to his right. Salt water. It's either sweat, tears, or the sea. Why are you so sad? The fireman couldn't remember why. For all at once he felt nothing but love for her and tried to make out her frame and features. It was only then that he noticed she wasn't wearing any clothes. At once he offered her his coat, for he was already completely enchanted by her. She smiled and stepped out into the light. She was round and her eyes dark like the water beneath them, and her hair was so long as to almost wrap around her body. "Where have you come from? Who are you and why are you here?" he said. "My name is Siobhan, and I'm a Selkie. It's Midsummer's Night, and this is where we come to dance on the strand for a while, just like humans." "But you're a mythical creature. I don't believe in magic or fairy stories." "Ah, well then that's why you're so sad. Thank you for your coat, but you see, you've been sitting on mine." "This whole thing," he said, holding out the rubbery clump on which he sat. "Well, yes," she replied. "Please take mine. It's warm, and I insist." She took the coat from his outstretched arm and wrapped it hesitantly around her. "Come to the house with me. We've coffee there and warm scones from the oven." And he would have said anything to keep her there a moment longer. Siobhan looked into his eyes and then back at the sea. Perhaps for a little while then. As they walked, they talked. He found for the first time in a very long time he could let his sadness and weariness leave him. And all that was left was a warm love he felt for this beautiful woman who came from the sea. It was as if he was under a spell, and it was love at first sight. She talked about the sea and all the beauty it held, from the ice-blue palaces of the Arctic, the fjords of Finland, to the craggy coastline of Scotland, where lonesome fishermen looked to the sea for their wives. For it held true that if a human kept the coat of a Selkie, they could marry them and keep them on dry land. But if they were to discover their coat at any time, they would immediately return to the sea. The morning was upon them in no time at all, and the inhabitants of the house were starting to awaken. She took off his coat in order to return it to him, but the fireman was confused and didn't want her to leave. "Please, stay with me. I cannot let you go." "But I am a Selkie," she said. "The sea will always call me back, and I must go and be with my people. I need my coat, otherwise I'm trapped in this human form and cannot swim."
then I shall hide it somewhere and you can never find it, for you have brought me great joy and I cannot let you go. Please, marry me. I will love you and look after you forever. I promise. She smiled gently. You cannot keep someone that is wild. You must let them choose, or they're never yours for any time at all. All we really have is right now. He knelt down on one knee and held out his hand and offered marriage. Please marry me. For as long
So
as
that's a
you
little segment, well, a nice segment of Gráinne's reading, which I absolutely love. Selkie, it's just beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And you can check that out on our YouTube channel, guys. Gráinne Rafferty. It is absolutely beautiful. And I'd love to be able to play the whole thing. I really would. It's just time doesn't allow, but it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful reading. She just reads everything so amazing, I think. And her writing, her own writing as well, is just fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I'm gonna move on and get things going. This is from my next guest tonight, which is of course Poetry Corner. This is the segment that we've been running. We brought it back for this winter season. My good friend Catrice Greer in the States has been curating this segment and getting me booking spoken word artists and poets from all over, actually, not just from Canada and the States, everywhere. She's got connections all over the world, and it's been a wonderful segment. And tonight we have a Canadian-American poet, spoken word artist. I'm going to try and get this right, David. You'll correct me if I don't, but I'll do my best. David Sirois. I think that's good. I think he's nodding. I can see him and he's thumbs up. That's great. David Sirois. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I was looking at a lot of his work during the week, and he's just amazing. He's got a very laid back approach, very open, honest, organic, laid back approach to his work, and the way he delivers poetry. It's just wonderful. It's old school. I love it. There's not many people that do it like this anymore. It's the notebook, it's the pen, it's the whole lot. It's the real deal. I love it. And I'm going to play you a little video now. From Street Rambles, and this is him kind of moseying around the streets of Paris. I think he's in Paris in France, and performing as well and chatting to people. It's wonderful. So I'm going to play you a little bit of this, and then we'll talk to David in a few minutes. So here we go. This is Street Rambles. Here we go, guys.
Do you get those ideas while you're walking?
Or
some of them?
Yeah, some of them. Yes.
Okay.
It's true.
Do you,
While I'm walking, yeah.
Okay. And you bring those notebooks with you?
I always bring one notebook with me.
Well,
the
that's
last
what I
one.
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I bring one as well.
I can prove it. So we compare notebooks. Yeah, we should compare.
Yes. This one says notebook.
It says that is handmade. Number 23, Paris.
Nice. That's one of those.
Mine doesn't say anything.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
it's true. I wonder
Very
if it's
cool.
completely empty, as you can see.
I may never comprehend this silver-colored abstract photograph. I cannot grasp its long, uncomplicated, electrified rail. Time is tracking me down, whether I sit, stand, or walk. I want to hold the beat that moves the unsaid drum. I want to act and not to act. I wish to unwrap the real. Timeless, tireless, visible music enters the senses without resistance. The inevitable leaf. Yellow, orange, red, astronomical clocks the size of a child's hand. How do I learn how to surrender? Rigid branch and brittle leaf, bristling noises, rattling air, speak to my sentient spine. Wide, wide libraries of things I don't understand. What time is this that makes me question motions of our measurer, who celebrates perpetual remembrance? I come unhinged, gripping raw seconds, enter the underworld roots of the wild violet. I lose the embers of ancient fires that have sat in my veins since time began. When will the moment turn to history? When will it turn? Will ancient present time to come sit in one place in this furtive soul?
David, I don't want to interrupt you. You have a bee in your hair.
Once again, that's hysterical.
It's still there. It's still there.
Oh, I think I felt one.
Yeah.
Is
It's
it on
more
this
on the
side?
front. Yeah, it's on that side. It's more on the front. So a little lower.
A little lower.
I love it.
An
I
urgent
absolutely
message.
love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Absolutely fabulous. 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 Sorry about the end of that one, David. A little ad kicked in on me as usual. That's what happens. But not to worry. Let's get straight into it and talk to Mr. David Sirois. I love everything about that, my friend. How are you this evening?
Mighty fine. How are you, Dave?
I'm wonderful, my friend. I'm wonderful. You, like many guests so far in the Poetry Corner segment, have the ability to just swamp everybody's minds, and I get lost in your readings and just through the video. And I know it's going to happen again at the end of this interview when you perform your live piece as well. But tell me this. You have this I find intriguing. You had your work translated into 9 languages: Hindi, Bengali, French, German, Czech, Spanish, Greek, Romanian, and Doric. That's pretty amazing. That is pretty amazing. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's wonderful to have your work spread out so far around the globe. But before we get to all that, how did you get into all of this? How did you get into poetry? What were you a young boy when you got into it first?
Yes, I was 10 years old, and my 5th grade teacher introduced us to Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven, and Annabel Lee, and his stories. And I was so enthralled, my mind caught fire. And she would give us poetry writing exercises, and she would assign one, I'd write 8 or something like that.
Wow.
So I just started rolling and could never stop. And in high school, I was doing poetry writing instead of my homework. On and on.
That's okay. That's a good thing. Yeah, I did a lot of that myself in high school, secondary school here in Ireland. A lot of songwriting, which was poetry, by the way, before music is put to it. Would you agree that all lyrics are poetry before music is put to them?
Yes, absolutely, especially if they're really well written.
Yeah.
But there is a poetry to all of the music lyrics, because it's rhythmic language, and it's melodic language. It expresses human feelings and thoughts, whether deep or dumbed down, like some pop music or something.
Yeah.
I'm a radio DJ. I get to hear all the number one hits like Butter, which is also my done by later. Yeah. Anyway,
well, it's true when you say dumbed down pop. That's a nice way of putting it, because we are getting kind of dumbed down with a lot of music now. I'm talking mainstream chart music. Unfortunately, but thank God there's a lot of good stuff out there as well, and it is finding its way back into the mainstream because of the pandemic. Amazingly enough, how did you find the pandemic? Your experience of it, obviously being locked down at some point, did it give you a chance to write again?
Yes, I mean, for me, being locked down is being alone is no problem. I can just spend my time writing and reading and conceiving ideas, and I tend to isolate myself actually like that anyhow. But so it wasn't a problem for me being alone. The best thing that happened in the lockdown was that Spoken Word Paris went onto Zoom and became Spoken World Online, which I accidentally named once. Instead of Spoken Word, I said Spoken World. Anyhow, it went on for months. It's been going for about a year and a half now, and the founder of Spoken Word Paris, David Barnes, asked me to take over hosting it after 3 months. I used to host a Spoken Word 2 in Paris, and hosted it there for 3 years. So
you lived in Paris for a couple of years. Then you were a resident there.
Yeah, I was there 6.5 years, and it informs a lot of my poetry. You'll see in the poem that I brought, there's some street names, and the bridge that was in the video, Pont Mirabeau.
Yeah.
Paris, of course, inspired me.
Yeah, like many people. Oh, when I was there myself, I got quite inspired by it as well. It's a fabulous city to walk around and just watch. I was going to ask you, because your name, which we were trying to get right earlier on, Sirois, and you said to me it's like Sirois, like a wah pedal. I love that when somebody breaks their name down. But it sounds quite French. Is there French in the family, in your family?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, like the Sirois come from just west of Paris, Saint-Germain-en-Laye, and I got to visit it and tell my dad about it. He wrote like a genealogy tale about where we began. So yeah, it's in the history, and I was born in French Canada in New Brunswick, just over Maine, within Maine.
Yeah.
So there's a bridge that appears in a lot of my poems, and it's the international bridge between the mostly francophone town in Canada, where I was born, and then the northernmost town in Maine.
Okay. And now you're in the States now. Are you resident in...
Thank God I moved to Canada.
Oh, you moved to Canada. Okay. When I saw Canadian American, I was wondering where is he now?
Yeah, I thankfully snuck across the border. Not really. I had to export my car and my things and everything to move to Canada at the beginning of last year. And thank God. I mean, I'm on my show. I people know I'm un-American, but I'm really anti-American. Forgive me. I'm not going to go into it.
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, I think look, when you use the term anti-American, it's definitely not. Well, I wouldn't use it like anti-Americans, but the American.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
I like a lot of the people, and their poets are great. Robert Pinsky, Stephen Kramer, Frank Bedard. I got to see them all from living in North Bennington, Vermont, when I went to Bennington College. So really great.
Brilliant, great. Yeah. I remember making a trip many years back, doing a tour with the music and stuff, and going from New York up to Boston and right up across the Niagara Falls and into Toronto. And there is a remarkable difference between both states, for sure. Like, I think just in the state, not the people, obviously, but the states are different. I think there's definitely a huge difference between both. It's amazing actually how different they are, even though it's quite similar when you meet people. The people are the same, but the states are so, anyway, let's not get political, because I could go down that. I could, tell me, you're back home now, and you've obviously spent a lot of time writing throughout the pandemic and the lockdown. Have you got a lot of new work ready to go? Do you have lots of new stuff ready?
Yeah, I have 5 finished manuscripts.
Wow.
that I'm sending around.
Yeah.
And then, 3 more. I have a children's book called Butter the Cat. I hope Butter joins us.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah, we saw Butter. We saw Butter in the sound check. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she's beautiful.
Where is that book? Where's the children's book? Where can we get?
Oh no, these are all manuscripts, so I'm sending them around and waiting for word from publishers. So fingers crossed. There's a whole 30 pages of lines from dreams, words heard or seen in dreams, and they're literally exactly that. And I wrote them down as faithfully as I could when I woke up. Better than the poetry I write while awake.
Excellent. Oh, that's well done. Yeah, I just think to do manuscript is not an easy thing to you don't just muster them up. It takes a lot of work. Let alone to do 5 or 6 or 7. Well done. Your poetry has appeared in journals such as the Bombay Review, the Poetry Village, One Hand Clapping, the Sunday Tribune Online, the Bastille, and Terre. Now I'm going to get this wrong because I'm awful at French. Terre à Ciel, I think it is. I think I'm probably wrong there, but translations from the French of Paul Valéry and all those kind of foreign names that I can't pronounce. But anyway, you've been invited to feature at global events like 100,000 Poets for Change. What is that? 100,000 Poets for Change.
It's a global event that I started participating in when I lived in Paris, because there were, I think at that time, 750 sites across the world that were hosting the same event. And so it's just a reading, a lot of poets invited to read their work, and a lot of it is centered around change, whether it's of Black Lives Matter or other social change that needs to happen. It's simply a poetic outlet for many positive poets around the world.
Good, yeah, it's good to see. There's a massive sort of gathering in the spoken word and poetry worlds since the kind of lockdowns in there. There's a big connection there, because I know from speaking with Catrice Greer, who curates this segment, but you guys are all teaming up and getting together, aren't you? You're really connecting, like.
Absolutely. And so it's not just people from Spoken Word Paris that I know that are on the show, but people have come up from all around the world. There are poets from Malaysia that join us 12 hours ahead, poets from India. I'm published all over India and Bangladesh. A lot of my work is built on Indian philosophy, and I use a little Sanskrit. Anyhow, people join us from India. They're 9.5 hours ahead. So it's fabulous. It's like a really global thing. And if you go to other open mics headed in, let's say in Scotland, like a Blot from the Blue, a lot of the same folks are reading there, and we're getting around the world from our chairs.
It's fabulous, isn't it? It really is, like, because I know in the music world, well, here in Ireland anyway, in the music world, it wouldn't be the most, what would you say? It wouldn't be the best sort of community for sort of toing and froing and stuff until the pandemic happened, and then musicians here in Ireland have certainly learned that networking is everything. And I include myself in that, by the way. We were awful at it beforehand. I certainly was. You wouldn't put yourself out to network too much or collaborate. But now we are all doing it, and it's wonderful what's coming from that. Like, and definitely with spoken word, the things that are happening, and I'm learning about it myself. I'm a newbie to spoken word, but what you guys are doing globally is amazing. Do you think that it's going to continue? It's going to grow? Do you think as an art form, it's going to come back?
Absolutely. Are you talking about the Zoom show or the spoken word movement, or
the spoken word movement in general? The movement in general. Do you think it's growing rapidly?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember going to the Nuyorican Poets Cafe in 1990 and seeing my first slam. And what I'm doing in my work is not really slam per se. It's more like poetry off the page that I try to recite lyrically. The movement is growing so much. I think the open mic model of, like, you can come to a show and read, and perform yourself, So great. Yeah, everyone wants to come. They have something to say. So the movement is growing and growing, and there are so many of the open mics now online, and I'm still continuing Spoken Word online, even if Spoken Word Paris has started again in Paris. So,
and tell us a little bit about the Zoom show.
Well, it's fascinating to be hosting once again, as I did in Paris, and a lot of the people that came, like, to the first venue of my first open mic doing, well, Spoken Word 2, Open Spirit. Some of them are coming to my show, and two of them featured last week, a brilliant couple out of Brittany. But it's not just those francophone or it's more like expatriate Anglophone artists in Paris, and there's a huge scene there of Anglophone poetry, which is amazing to me. But now that the word spreads, I mean, we got a whole bunch of people from, let's say, Hudson Valley. There's a lot of people from San Francisco, and as I said, from other parts of the world. So it's fascinating and great to host it. Although I'm not that technically savvy, I've gotten the hand of multitasking, which is difficult for men. I've been told.
It is. I tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy. Tell me a little bit about the podcasts and interviews such as "Eat the Storms" and "Poets of the East." What is it? What are they about?
Well, in Ireland, Damien Donnelly, I'm not sure what city or town he's in, hosts a magnificent podcast, "Eat the Storms," and he gets a lot of great people. We've organized readings with him in other settings than my open mic. But yeah, Damien Donnelly hosts a brilliant one in Ireland. And then there are other ones like Poets of the East is from the US, but some of the people featured have been from the UK or other places. So it's great.
I must check him out, Damien Donnelly. I must have a look for him. That's
amazing.
Yeah, because I was telling you earlier on in the sound check we were talking that like spoken word, like to my knowledge anyway, and I could be wrong, but it wouldn't be a huge movement in Ireland, but it obviously is here, and it is here, and I do know people that do it, but not a lot. So that's cool. Right. Damien Donnelly, well, I'll have to check him out. Yeah, our Irish connection. Yeah, absolutely, brilliant. And your first book. This is what I wanted to ask you as well. Humble Doves. Now, you were telling me earlier on about poems to pigeons and plants. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous.
I love it, though. It's a good ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with it, my friend. There's nothing wrong with ridiculous. How do you end up sitting down and writing poems to pigeons and plants? Where does the inspiration come from?
It's usually been while walking around, and I saw my first white pigeon, saw my first completely brown pigeon, and another one completely black, and I started writing these poems, pigeons, and putting human characteristics on them, and just having a blast. And my ex-wife had told me I can make people laugh when I read, and I didn't realize that. So I started mixing, as I said before, when we talked, the salty and the sweet, and drawing people in by using some humor and funny poetry, and then going to the depth of the serious stuff.
Brilliant.
But, I laughed my ass off writing this book.
And listen, I would love a copy of it, by the way. So where can I go? Where can I get it? Where can people get the book?
Well, it's available on Amazon for $7 humble. In euros, it's 6 or 8 or something, and I don't know what it would be elsewhere. Anyhow, Humble Doves. It's on Amazon, and I've gotten it in bookstores around, but.
Well, if we want to get it, Amazon is the best. If we want to get it here, So that's definitely worth mentioning. Humble Doves, Poets to Pigeons and Plants. I'm going to have a look for it later on as well, and I'll spread the word as well. Brilliant! I'm delighted. Now you're also, and this is the bit that I like as well. I was intrigued. You're a singer-songwriter as well, David. Radio DJ and film, TV. And theatre actor. But let's start with the singer-songwriter part. Do you still actively write songs?
Not recently, because I've been so busy with poetry. And for example, all the translators that I have all came to me out of nowhere. I don't even know how they heard of me. So I have to do all this poetry stuff and talk to all these people. But singing and writing songs, I started in 1992 when someone gave me a guitar. I've never stopped. When I lived in Boston, I used to play solo shows as David Leo, and had a band called Naked Poets. And funny enough, that the recording we did in 2000 became popular on Spotify and other places. When I put it out there, I got on Reverb Nation. I got up to 15th in Canada for singer-songwriter.
Wow.
20 years later.
Wow, man, I'm going to check that out. The Naked Poets. I'm going to go check that out. Definitely. I'm going to have to hear that. I love the name. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all there under David Leo Sirois now.
Cool.
People can Google my tale if they want.
Brilliant. And do you do any radio anymore? Are you active in radio?
Yeah, I would say my day job, but I'm the nighttime DJ at a place called Channel X Radio that we broadcast all over northern Maine and western New Brunswick, Canada. And so my voice is on the air all night, every night.
Wow.
But yeah, it's amazing. But I get to go in like in the evening or afternoon or whenever and record like a few nights ahead, and then it plays and I can listen to it at home.
That's the nicest. That's the best feeling, isn't it? You know what? I need to get into a little bit of that pre-record world, because everything here is obviously we're live all the time, and I only get to listen to it after the show. But I'd love to do that actually. Yeah, a couple of pre-records and actually be lying at home in bed while your show is on. That's cool.
It's the best cheerer upper for me. I'll turn on the radio when I'm really down, and I hear myself doing a good job because it's the best thing I've ever done in terms of jobs, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, I think broadcasting is great fun. I love it myself. I mean, I got into it in the pandemic. I never broadcasted before all of this kicked off, and now I love it. It's kind of a bug with it. I think you kind of you get into it and it's hard to stop. There's something lovely about it.
Yes, and covering a lot of community events here, interviewing people, etc. At big things in the towns locally. I finally feel at the age of 50, I feel at home in my my hometown.
Yeah,
connected to the area, by doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and that's it, isn't it? It does. There's connection there, for sure, on a community level. Yeah, David, I would never have put the age of 50 on you, and I'm glad you said it. And I didn't, because I never ask guests what age they are. You do not look a day, and you're years off 50, my friend. So you must be doing something right. Fair play. You're obviously a happy soul, my friend. TV and theater. Are you still dabbling, or obviously when things kind of start to come around, do you think you'll get back into some of that work as well?
Well, I love it, and I love especially being an announcer. And for some reason, directors would see my open mic in Paris, and they would love the way I would announce things and welcome people and be a host. And so I got asked to do that in 3 movies and a TV pilot.
Brilliant.
And then there was one like independent piece where I got to introduce the film, the real art film, before it happened, and then criticize it after it happened.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
What's the chances? Yeah. You've had a lot, like, would it be fair to say a lot of things have kind of happened to you by chance? Like a lot of, you've had that kind of a journey along.
It feels that way, but I have, a yogic practice, and I've studied under a teacher from India for over 25 years. And so I see like the threads of miracle that run through everything, and how this thing I wished for is happening now, like being a French poetry translator, or almost everything that I've wished for slowly has come to pass. And so I'm on radio, I'm a globally published poet, I'm getting translated. All these little wishes that I held on to for so long are bearing fruit, and it's quite a gift, and getting these micro poems in dreams, like he threw a window at the sun. I couldn't write that, while awake. So it's been a gift, and a lot of things just coming out of long years of practice.
Brilliant. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. How, absolutely. When things start to bear fruit, as you say, because we do, as artists in general, in the arts world, we spend a long, long time putting the work in and hoping and dreaming and wishing. So I'm delighted for you, my friend. I really am delighted that you're starting enjoy that now, and rightly so. Do you find yourself jumping out of bed a lot with the notebook? Do you keep the notebook beside the bed all the time?
All the time, yeah. Because some nights, I mean, I'll fall asleep and wake up, and it'll be like 7 lines I got that night, or 12 lines. So sometimes I'll even sit in my desk chair when I'm drowsy, and I might even be holding these beads out, and like Salvador Dali used to do with a spoon. And so when I fell asleep, it would fall and wake me up, and I would write down the line that I got.
That's a good idea.
It's often in
That's
these
a good
stories.
idea.
Yeah.
Never thought of that. It's a good way to, because they do say, like, it has been said that some of our best ideas and are subconscious, aren't they? Like, absolutely come like when you're asleep. And a lot of my friends, and I do it too, not as much as I used to, but we'd always have a notebook and pen near your bedside, because it happens. It really does. Do you believe there is a kind of a divine intervention in lyric writing and poetry, and that it comes, like a friend of mine said to me one time, it's just like it just goes through me. It's like I'm not actually making it up myself. Do you believe that there's something to it?
Absolutely. And some of my best work has, as I said, come from dreams or from channeled states. Like there was a time I saw a vision of a bird of white fire land on my head, burn down my spine, and I collapsed and started speaking a creation story. And a friend wrote it down, and I've been revising it for over 25 years. So I think some of the best things come from beyond, in a sense, or deep within, I would say. And so I made the line, a true poet is a bridge between worlds. And so not just different countries or different types of writing, but, the physical world and the spiritual world. You know?
No, I agree with you. I do. I agree with you. I think I know myself, even having written many songs, that the ones that kind of reverberate and go through and work are often the ones that you didn't think too much about. It's as though they just kind of came through your soul or whatever. And I sometimes I find myself actually sitting down and just writing, just manically writing, and I don't even know what I'm writing. It's beyond me. It's like it's beyond what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it's. I'm sure you've experienced that, like at some point.
The whole goal of my poetry. I mean, I learned all the little craft and meter and reading all of the different great stuff around the world. I learned all that already. And so my goal is to have poetry be a transmission, like a higher, to shut my mind down and be open to higher thought.
Yeah. And that's a good place to be. Yeah, it definitely is. It's a great place to be. Yeah, absolutely. You are going to read something this evening, because we were chatting earlier on about it. I'm really looking forward to this, by the way. Now, I have a word that I use for Poetry Corner, by the way, and Catrice is very familiar with this word because she does it to me all the time. I evaporate. When I listen to spoken word and poetry, I'm learning about this, by the way, David, because I'm totally new to it, and I love the whole world of it. And every week I'm delving in further. What are you going to read for us? What are we going to get?
I'll start with a snippet from Humble Doves, and then go into something completely different.
Brilliant. Okay, well, in your own time, my friend, in your own time, take it away.
Thanks. I saw children chasing pigeons at a playground in Montmartre. As I walked by, I smiled and disapproved. They didn't notice me or my hair in disrepair, but I stared in mute contemplation of their scary, fearless, unrelenting effort to scare these multicolored humble doves who come from everywhere. This is called Illusion is the Hardest Thing. I see and hear Avenue de Versailles release its voice from words that long had held it down. Endless flurries of passers-by. Sunset stretches overhead and builds a city of stone on green that seems to fill the absent sky with fiery lights in brilliant grids. We swim in rhythm with the sea of breath, these breezes whose chord progression never resolves. Time's fingers grip a spinning globe and draw the soul slowly over magnetic meridians at dusk, strum the world's imaginary strings. Within, we chant a hidden word in meditation often heard. The river rolls backward in my eyes, mirrored spheres, flows over inner rocks and returns a wounded arrow. Our sharp half moon has split the dusk and cut the cords to cold denial of beauty's paint on canvas minds. Twilight's windows begin to speak in sapphire song in one long sigh. Seagulls wheel over long waters, crying out their timeless tale. Midway in the journey of our life, we found the ocean lost to us. We burned for a bond with water and wandered with every feather to seek and find. Below Pont Mirabeau's faint green rails, in cobalt light, white birds unwind. They work to learn letters and words from overvalued thoughts we guard. With unspoken sparks, we make our world. A troubled singer begs the mirror to glitter in falling shards, just to break the hardest layer. My other mother murmurs, Maya is the hardest thing. Please push the mirror and discover it's a window to within. In the deep heart's core, leave your door wide open. Let kind fire spread.
Wow. That was intense. That was intense, my friend. Every line, every single line was like amazing, one after another. I was trying to keep up with your description and your words. Your words were just amazing. And Kathy Carson, you know Kathy, I'm sure. Strum the world the world's imaginary strings. That I love too myself. I have to say, I really like that line. Really cool. And I like the way you came in with something like, as you said, something totally sort of jovial and then upbeat, and now for something different. Perfect. I loved it. I loved it. Many thanks, my friend, for joining us and taking the time out. Catrice is here, of course, and she's watching, and many of your friends from the spoken word world, and all of that. It's great to have had you, and I have to say,
yeah, it was brilliant.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely! Thanks a million.
Well, listen, you in Ireland now. We'll do our best to get the replay out of tonight and get it out there and make sure that everybody discovers David Sirois and check it out, and of course David Leo and the Naked Poets. I am personally going to make it my business to go and discover those guys, because I want to know more about that. But, thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, my friend.
Awesome.
Listen, keep in touch, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks a million.
Yes. Take care. You too.
Good night. Bye. Good night. So that's it, folks. That's a wrap. That is it. That is it for episode 25. We lost a guest tonight, unfortunately. It happens technologically, but Laura Carley was on to me, in fairness, and her camera and mic thing just didn't sync up. It happens sometimes. It's the wild world of the internet. So we will get Laura back as soon as we can next week if she's available. So Laura, if you're out there, don't worry. You will be on Friday Night Live for sure. We'll get you back. I would like to thank all of my guests tonight. Ailith McCormick and Noel Eccles, who gave us a wonderful interview at the beginning of the show. Laura Carley, who couldn't get in tonight, but will be here hopefully next week or the week after. We'll get her back on. Grania Rafferty, fabulous storytelling, and everything. Her work above and Drogheda as well, phenomenal. And of course, David Leo, I suppose I'll put in Leo for fun because I had him written down as David Leo Sirwa. And I keep thinking of the wah pedal, by the way, David, and that's how I'm remembering the end of your name, because I love wah pedals. So thank you so much. And of course, we had Davy Long, my friend from Kilkenny. We gave his single a little spin there, which is Flesh and Blood, which landed today on YouTube and all platforms, Spotify and everything. Do you know what? Seeing as it's been a bit of a night for things, you know, a little bit unplanned, and that happens, I'm going to play it again because I think it's a great song, and I think Davy is a great artist. So Davy, if you're watching or if you catch this tomorrow, we're going to play it twice tonight because it's that good. This is Flesh and Blood by Davy Long, my friend from Kilkenny, and it's just out today. So guys, go and buy it. It's a beautiful song. Good night from Friday Night Live, everybody. Dave Morrissey, peace, signing out.
Just like you, I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue. We're all flesh and blood, space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. Nobody knows what the spirit holds. Lightning through the streets, deluge breaking over the living. We're all flesh and blood, space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. I fell upon the grass, a ghost from the past. Even the darkest night will pass. Even the darkest night will pass. We're all flesh and blood, space and time. Only try to stay alive. I live in the flood, a piece of driftwood, flesh and blood. I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue. I keep waking, not sleeping, under a pale winter moon, mind racing into the blue.
A wonderful tune, Flesh and Blood from Davy Long in Kilkenny. That's the new single, guys, and it's out. And it's out today, so please, please, please go and buy it. It is amazing. Absolutely wonderful tune, like everything he does. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's on Spotify. It's everywhere today. It's all over. And that is the YouTube video, which I have to say is just unbelievable. So, guys, that's it. Good night and God bless from Friday Night Live. I'm Dave Morrissey. I've had a great night. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. That's the main thing. And I hope that you liked the whole new vibes to the show, where we're bringing in all sections of the arts, not just music. We're trying to broaden the horizons on Friday Night Live. If you're watching just before we go and you see the PayPal link flying across the bottom of the screen, it's just for if you want to make a small donation and help the show out. That's all it is. You don't have to move mountains. I'm not asking for anything major. It's just to keep the show on the road. And thank you so much to everybody who has supported the show up until now. You've been wonderful, and it's just kept the show on the road. So thank you all for that. Next week, episode 26 is already hotting up to be amazing. I can tell you that now. And the week after, we've got a couple of really, really good guests coming up that a lot of you will know, which is great. But also, some of the guests that you might not know are very, very, very talented. And trust me, you're going to want to check it out. Also, just to let you know before I go, the Under 18s Halloween show is coming up as well on the 29th of October. And that's going to be a stomper as usual. We've already got most of the guests lined up for that. And there'll be 2 shows that day, which will be the Under 18 show at 6 p.m. and then the usual adult show at 10 p.m. So you're going to get 2 Friday Night Lives on the 29th of October. So stay tuned. It's going to get busier and busier as the winter season goes on. Thank you so much to everybody for watching tonight, all my guests, and of course my friend Catrice Greer, who curates the Poetry Corner as well and is here tonight watching too. So thank you, Catrice. Listen, guys, mind yourselves, kick back, finish off that last drop of wine or whatever it is, the last drag of beer, and kick back and relax. The show will be on replay immediately after this. So please do me a favor and share it. That's all I ask you, actually. That's the best thing you could do for Friday Night Live. Just share the video around. It would be awesome. Share the show. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again very, very soon. From me here in Limerick, I will talk to you again. I'm going to go off now and relax and finish my beer and watch the show, the replay. Good night. God bless everybody, and see you again real